Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. Apologize for my technical difficulties. I'm sure it's on my end. I hope all is well. I started to talk about myself before we had to stop. Again, my name is Chris Rogers. I go by Chris or Christopher, whichever you prefer. I've been in state government for 24 years. After serving in the military for 7 years, and also the National Guard for about for an additional 6 years. Married with 3 children, 2 dogs. Avid Chicago White Sox, Bulls, and Bears fan. As I was born and raised in Chicago, and last thing, I play bass guitar in a couple of bands around town, and so. If you happen to be at the state fair this year, you can come out and hear a band called Capital Sound. So I think you'll enjoy yourself. So I was hired by the Department of Human Services and stayed there for about 14 years of government. Then I joined the Department of Aging in 2011, moved to the Senior Helpline, and then moved to the Older American Services, where I've been a program manager for CSEP since July of 2017. So enough about me. Just wanted to talk today about CSEP Title V and how it fits into the Illinois Apprenticeship Framework. So we'll discuss what CSEP is, its purposes, its history, its eligibility requirements. We'll also discuss the kinds of job seekers that CSEP prioritizes for enrollment. I'll also discuss the CSEP enrollment process, and finally, on-the-job experiences and the similarities it has with apprenticeship. Kristen, can we go to slide 3? So what is CSEP? CSEP stands for the Senior Community Service Employment Program. It's a program of the United States Department of Labor and its Employment and Training Administration. It's designed to help more older Americans get back into or remain active in the labor workforce. It's a community service and work-based training program, and it does this through job skill training and employment assistance with an emphasis on gaining employment with a suitable and cooperative company or organization. In such settings, in such a setting, the worker or participant, as they are called, is paid the United States minimum wage, or the highest federal, state, or local minimum wage, or the prevailing wage for an average of 20 hours per week. So for an example, in Illinois, the current minimum wage is $11, which will be rising to $12 an hour in January of 2022. But if a participant resides in the city of Chicago, they will be paid $15 an hour based on that city's minimum wage ordinance, because that is the prevailing minimum wage where they reside. So the participant experiences on-the-job learning and how to put newly acquired skills to use. The intention is that through these community jobs, the participant will gain a permanent job that is unsubsidized by federal government monies or funds. So people who are 55 or older can obtain job training and job search services from CSEP in each area of the country. CSEP services are accessed through local organizations called host agencies. These are usually nonprofits, but sometimes a state agency will administer the program. The individual durational limit, or in other words, the maximum amount of time that a participant can be enrolled in a program is 48 months. However, the average project duration, the average right now, the average amount of time that a participant is enrolled is about 27 months, even though the limit is 48 months. Slide 4, please. So a little bit about the history of CSEP. CSEP is the only federally mandated job training program that explicitly serves low-income adults age 55 years and older. It was first authorized under Title II of the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 and funded in 1965 as part of a demonstration project called Operation Mainstream. Operation Mainstream objective was broader than just older adults, but seniors were one targeted population. Operation Mainstream was run by national non-for-profit agencies until 1973. And when the older American component of Operation Mainstream was converted from a pilot project to an established program under Title IX of the Older Americans Act. The amendment modified the program to allow both state governments as well as national non-for-profit agencies to receive funds. And then in 1978, the program was redesignated as Title V of the Older Americans Act. And this is still the statutory authorization of the program today. Slide 5, please. And so what is the CSEP's purpose? The purpose of CSEP is to advance the likelihood of economic self-sufficiency for as many individuals participating in the program as possible, and to promote and support useful part-time community service activities that increase the scope of services available to community residents. Both goals are equally important, and each have performance indicators to measure whether or not those goals have been met. Further, these two goals are not contradictory, rather they are mutually supportive, with one providing the means to the end of the second. It is the intention of the law that these community service experiences serve as a bridge to other employment positions that are not supported by federal dollars. It's through training and acquiring new skills at a host agency while at the same time providing needed community services that individuals or participants become marketable in the new economy and competitive when applying for permanent jobs off the program. So there are three major programs objectives related to the major goals, but first to increase the number of persons served by each grantee, second to serve the most difficult to place, and third to increase the number of persons finding permanent employment in quality jobs that will last long and that will pay a living wage. Can we go to slide 6, please? So what are the CSEP eligibility requirements? So as you can see on the slide, there are 3 eligibility requirements that must be met for enrollment. The first is age. An applicant must be no less than 55 years of age. With there's no age limit, but you have to be at least 55 years old. There is a second requirement is income. The total family income may not exceed $125. 125% of the federal poverty level. So, obviously, this is for low income. And then the third is the federal poverty level is updated mid-February every year. And then the third requirement is obviously that you can't be employed. Individuals must be unemployed at the time of application and throughout program participation. And the fourth requirement, which isn't on the slide, is residency. At the time of the initial enrollment, participants must reside in the state in which the project is authorized. With one caveat, homeless people can also qualify. Slide 7, please. So what I just spoke about was the enrollment requirements, but CSEP does place priority on potential participants. The CSEP prioritizes enrollment for participants who are veterans and their qualified spouses, then the person 65 and older or individuals with a disability, persons with limited English proficiency, persons with low literacy skills, persons who reside in rural areas, persons who have no employment prospects or very low, and persons who fail to find employment through WIO or Title I services, or individuals who either are homeless or at least at risk at a risk of being homeless. These priorities and preferences only come into play when you're fully enrolled and have a waiting list. Can we go to slide 8, please? So there's a process when a participant joins CSEP, and there's an orientation, but part of the orientation is what we call participant assessment. That's the next step in the application process, is to work with the application through an assessment of his or her skills, talents, work history, barriers to employment, as well as capabilities and skills. The assessment lays the foundation for how the subgrantee will work with the participant throughout his or her duration on the program. And it is just a critical first step in establishing an effective partnership between staff and participants. So an assessment can be both formal and informal. Usually they comprise interviews, observations, and checklists, which are used to get a feel for a participant's work behavior and ambition, and to determine most in need factors. Standardized measures or tests that are designed to provide information on skills and interests and knowledge can also be used to supplement this interview process. So basically, the assessment interview is used to first discover the participant's expectations from the program, as well as to clarify to the participant the purpose of the program and their responsibilities should they be enrolled. Second, it's used to seek early clues about where the participant wants to go, what kind of a job they would like, and what kind of work environment preferences they have. Third, it's used to learn what the participant has done in the past and how they will work the employment specialist to secure employment. And four, it's used to discover and explore skills and abilities, as well as any limitations that might have an impact on the training plan or the host agency assignment that they may undertake. There are a few musts when it comes to the assessment process. First, it must be the basis for the host agency assignment. And second, it must be the basis for the participant's individual employment plan. So anyone reading any of these documents should be able to make a direct correlation between all three: the assessment, the host agency assignment, and the IEP, which is the individual employment plan. All three documents should be congruent, and the assessment is an open-ended process that lasts throughout the participant's enrollment in the program. It must be updated and documented in the file twice per 12-month period. Slide 9, please. So you heard me mention the IEP, which is the individual employment plan. So this takes place after the initial assessment. The next step is to complete the individual employment plan. The IEP is the tool staff uses to help participants successfully move through the program, building on the information gathered in the assessment. The IEP is a process for helping each individual participant accomplish as much as possible during the program and reach a job goal. Using the assessment information, staff builds the plan by addressing strengths, barriers, supportive services needed to overcome barriers, and training needed to acquire occupational skills. Short-term, measurable action steps provide a roadmap to participants on what to do and how to achieve their goal within a time frame. The IEP action steps comprise the training, strategy, which is developed in concert with the participant and contains the timing and the phasing of each strategy. So this could be work experience at a host agency only, or combined with classroom training, or combined with on the job experience with a private employer, whatever strategy best meets the assessed needs and goals of that participant. There are just a few requirements regarding participant IEP. The initial IEP for every participant must have an employment goal. And this is because one of the primary purposes of CSEP is to enable participants to achieve economic security through the services of the program. I mean, that's why they're in the program. And that is assistance with preparing for, finding, and keeping a job, and hopefully one with benefits. Can you go to slide 10? So you heard me make mention of host agencies. So once the assessment and IEP has been completed, the participant has given his or her community service assignment. And so the CSA or the community service will be done at their host agency. So CSEP is a training program that has at its core purpose helping the eligible individuals reach economic security. This is accomplished through enabling them to prepare for, find, and keep a job by learning and practicing occupational skills in the host agency setting. It's equally critical that host agencies understand this goal and their role in the training process. CSEP is a training program designed to meet the needs of participants, not host agencies. And so, I've had experiences where a host agency would have a participant working there, and they're supposed to be, and based on the IEP and the assessment, they're supposed to be there to do one thing, and sometimes, you may get a host agency that may use that participant to do things that the participant didn't go there for. In other words, based on his assessment and based on his employment plan. And so you want to try to find a host agency that will, that has the participant's best interest in mind rather than their own. Sorry. So with that said, the host agency does play an integral role in both the program and each participant's development and the eventual achievement of their IEP goal. But host agencies do not own slots, nor do they have positions to be filled by the program. And just as important to emphasize, CSEP participants are, like I just said, is not free labor. If sub-grantees are using the same host agencies they have had for more than 4 or 5 years, it's possible that these host agencies have an outdated concept of the program. If they have always had 3 participants, for example, they may feel that they should always have 3 participants, and furthermore are entitled. For example, they may feel that they should always have 3 participants. I'm sorry. If this is the case, sub-grantees should focus on recruiting new host agencies, like I said before, as training partners, as well as re-educating the old ones to current program priorities and methods of operation. However, with that said, without host agencies serving as training sites, there would be no CSEP. The law is quite clear that CSEP is equally designed to help meet unmet community service needs. With the addition of CSEP trainees to their person power, host agencies can expand their services or undertake a new service that fits within its mission, but for which they don't have the staff or resources to undertake. The CSEP host agency partnership is a vital one, but it is also a completely win-win relationship, both for the participant and the host agency. Your participants get an introduction to the 21st century workplace and training and occupational skills in demand in the community. Host agencies get qualified trainees eager to update skills, all at no cost, paid for under a federal grant. Host agencies further get to interview and select a trainee that is a good match, and participants are monitored on a regular basis to ensure a successful placement from the point of view of all parties. Slide 11, please. So here's the good part. What is an on-the-job experience? What we call those OJEs within the CSEP family. The OJE program in CSEP is the closest thing to an apprenticeship and should be considered as a method to encourage eligible employers to hire older workers. The reimbursement features of OJE will be used to compensate employers for the cost of developing skills needed to perform a job. OJEs must not be used simply as a subsidy to hire CSEP participants, but they will be limited to one opportunity per year in a 12-month period. For any given CSEP participant, any one employee will be limited to no more than 5 CSEP participants in the same job category within a 12-month period. All OJE participants must be enrolled in CSEP through the normal screening process. So just to be clear, the on-the-job experience, that OJE, that's what that stands for, is something in addition to what regular CSEP participants do. And they get to work directly with a business owner or organization with the hope of them, once the OJE experience is complete, the hope and in some ways the expectation is for them to stay in that organization or stay on that business. They get a job that's not supported by the federal government. So all OJE training experiences must be based on the IAP. Going back to the IAP, which is the Individual Employment Program, it's based on the employment goal that's in the IAP and what at the beginning during the assessment when they completed the IAP, what the participant said that what his goals were and what it is that he wants to do. So in order for a participant to be part of an OJE, it has to be based on what the IAP is saying. In some situations, a participant's IAP may show a goal of obtaining an unsubsidized job with an employer that requires specific skills that are not attainable through a community service assignment. And remember, the community service assignment, the CSA, is where a normal CSEP participant, that's where they go to get their employment training. So after a participant is assigned to a community service assignment, for at least 2 weeks, the participant can be placed in an OJE. An agreement will be negotiated specifying skills, timelines, numbers of hours the participant will work each week, total number of weeks, and the amount of reimbursement or payment, and benchmarks with the expectation that the employer will retain the participant. Slide 12, please. So what are the similarities between OJE and apprenticeship? Well, there's really only one, and that is both are work-based learning strategy connecting individuals to a career path, as well as being a solution for businesses to find and tap into undiscovered talent. And that's where the similarities end. That's why, in my opinion, a more comprehensive apprenticeship strategy / plan that targets older workers is warranted. Slide 13, please. So why apprenticeship for older workers? Well, the numbers are pretty obvious. As you can see, 94% of employees that recommend apprenticeship to other employers. 1.5 individuals are put back to work for every $1 spent on apprenticeship. Apprentice graduates earn more over their lifetime compared to peers who don't. 94% of apprentices retain employment after apprenticeship completion. And then the average starting salary after completing an apprenticeship program is about $70,000. So, but however, the ages of these apprentices cited in this statistics are unknown. So I think it would be a safe assumption that those who have achieved that type of success probably would not be eligible for CSEP or any other job training program geared toward older workers. So I guess the last thing I'd like to talk about is why apprenticeship for CSEP participants in particular. And so as I previously stated, CSEP is the only federally mandated job training program that explicitly serves low-income adults, ages 55 years and older. But apprenticeships that target the older worker population can help them achieve some of the numbers that were shown in this particular slide. Again, CSEP does have the OJE option, which is the closest thing to an apprenticeship within CSEP. That can connect a participant with specific employers, leading to increased likelihood of employment. However, OJEs are tools that is a tool that is infrequently used. In fact, when submitting the CSEP application to the Department of Labor every year, OJE funds have to be specifically requested as an optional request. So my subgrantee, for example, has not asked for that request, OJE funds. So my hope is that apprenticeships that target the older workers take steps to that end, can give older workers an increased opportunity to gain unsubsidized employment. And that's all I have. Are there any questions? Or Kirsten, you can take it from here. That's the end of my presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Christopher. We'll give everyone a second to put any questions in the chat that they might have. And while we're giving them a couple minutes to do so, I just want to reiterate that this session and information was recorded, and the session recording and the PowerPoint slide deck will be up on the Notice of Funding website on Illinois WorkNet within 48 hours. So if you would like to access this information later this week, you can do so by accessing it there. And then I don't see any questions oh, here we go. Here's one. Is there somewhere on the SCEP website for employers to post or share apprenticeship opportunities?
I can get back to you on that question. I believe that there is, but I don't want to say for sure. That would be something that I would have to check into, and then I could get back to the group and let you know that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And I will save that question, Christopher, and we will submit it on the FAQ on the NOFO website, and you can go back to it, Lee, and reference the FAQ, and that question will be answered on there. Are there any other questions? I don't see any other ones coming in. I want to thank everyone for your time this afternoon. And your time, Christopher, as well. And if there are any other questions, you can feel free to reach out on the Notice of Funding website on the FAQ. You can actually ask questions directly there if you think of any after this session. And with that, I'm going to close this out. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Christopher. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and good luck with your applications.
Thank you, Kristen, for all your help.
Bye-bye, everyone.